Hello and welcome. Today we're taking a look at SuperTuxKart. This is a live show where we jump into a source code repository every day and try to figure out what's going on. Today is supposed to be light and fun and, you know, fun Friday. And so later today I think we decided at 1 on Twitch, I'll be playing a non-open source game with my brother called Disco Elysium. That's just for fun. I've mentioned it a few times on this stream. There may be a wrench that's been thrown in the form of his kid is sick and home, so we might have to delay or postpone or cancel or whatever. But right now, it looks like everything's going to go. That we're gonna try it. So we'll see how that goes, and that's just for fun, just for hanging out. But for this stream, I want to look at SuperTuxKart. Why this game? Because it's free, open source. It's Linux themed, so I figured it would be a project where the developers are just trying to have fun. Some of the developers might be trying to learn how to code games and that sort of thing. So it should have a different sort of feel than a repo where somebody's trying to, either trying to make a AAA game or trying to make a great game engine, like some of the game engine stuff we've looked at in the past. I did download SuperTuxKart and try to play it, and at least in my VM, I can't get the race to start, or if it does start, you have to wait a long time. So, but I'll show you what the UI looks like. I have this character, and whatever. This is the default logo, presumably Tux the penguin, or maybe one of Tux's friends. And it asks me to log in. I don't. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just say okay. It asks me if I want to play a tutorial. I'll say no. And then it has different modes, like story mode, single player mode, split screen, online, and add-ons. And then we have some things down here like high scores, tutorial, help. Help is the question mark, and options is the wrench. And so I'll click on maybe story mode. And this might cause it to load forever. So for example, I see this warning, cart dirt shader is missing, fall back to solid. So I'm just going to go ahead and kill this window. But now we have a sense of what some of the UI elements are, and we may see them show up in the code. And here I am in the GitHub repo. And we see that it's mostly C++, just under 60%, with some C, maybe for optimization, Objective-C, presumably for, Objective-C, presumably for Mac support or iOS support or Mac OS support, and some HTML and CMake and other kind of ancillary files. 1 second. Okay, so we have some things like hardware requirements. Graphics card capable of 3D rendering. Right? And you should have at least a dual-core CPU and 512 megabytes and a free VRAM, okay, and system memory and minimum disk space. And you want a joystick with at least 6 buttons. I have most of that stuff. I don't have a joystick. I am going to guess that probably what's going on is that somehow with all the recording stuff and the virtual machines and everything, that SuperTuxKart isn't getting the resources it needs. All right, so let's see what else. Okay, so here we are in the GitHub repo. And all of the files in the main directory are kind of these metadata-ish files. And in the other directories, we have Android, which I'm going to assume is Android support. CMake, which I will assume is just build stuff that we can ignore for now. Data, doc, lib, source, switch, and tools. which could be any number of things, but we'll take a quick look to see what it is. And we definitely want source, but we'll also open lib and tools and data. Okay, let's see what we got. Switch has decode.js, package sh, and this JPEG of Tux driving a go-kart. I'm not sure what switch means in this context. Port lib switch bin arch. Maybe the documentation will help me. I'm wondering basically if this is the, what is it? Is it Nintendo that makes the Switch? So SuperTuxKart. Switch. Yeah, it seems to be. Adds Nintendo Switch support in 2021. Okay, so you can play it on the Nintendo Switch. All right, and how do they do that? There doesn't seem to be much in here for the Switch support. Maybe in the package build scripts. Switch.cmake. So maybe they just had to configure some stuff. And GitHub tells me if I'm unable to connect them, right? All right, so here we are in source. And we have achievements, add-ons, animations, audio, challenges, config, font, graphics, GUI engine, input, IO, items, carts, modes, network, online, physics, race, replay, script engine, states, screens, tips, tracks, utils, and some doxy stuff, which I think is a documentation generator, and main loop. So I guess the game loop gets its own file, which is actually kind of nice. So all of this looks relevant and interesting, but let's take a look at data, tools, and lib to just verify whether there's anything super interesting here as well. So in data, we have a bunch. We have challenges which I recognize also from the source directory. Graphics, Gamerzilla. I have no idea what that is. Grand Prix, GUI, PO, presumably translation files, replay, shaders, skins, and TTF. And some XML files, and some PNGs. But these may be assets. These may be just assets. So let's look at shaders to see what's in here. We have frag and vert, comp, frag. I don't recognize these file extensions, but vert sounds like it might be related to vertices of triangles. And frag, I don't know, is this a text file? Maybe fragment, but these seem like they're probably, this is probably the shader itself. Yeah, so it's got this void main function. It has its own entry point, and it has this like in out stuff. And so I'm going to just guess this is shaders, which may be of interest if I knew more about shaders and graphics. But at this point I don't. So I'm looking more interested right now, I guess, in the code and maybe some of the other assets like the models or whatever. And then in tools, we have some shell scripts, a Python script to check textures, and find unused. Okay. These look like utility scripts, that sort of thing. Run server, run game, update characteristics.py, update copyright. Okay. An AI test. So I suppose they might have some sort of AI non-player character support. And here we are in lib, and we have things like AngelScript. Let's see what AngelScript is. It's a game-oriented compiled scripting language, similar to C++, cross-platform. All right, so a game-oriented scripting language. Bullet DNSC. Is this related to DNS? Let's take a look at DNS today. Recursive reentrant DNS resolver. Yeah, this is DNS support. Looking up domain names, resolving domain names. DNet, graphics engine, graphics utils, Erlicht, libsquish, mcpp, mojol, maybe? Benbiddy, Sheenbiddy, SIMD wrapper, TinyGet text, and reuse. So these may be either third-party libraries or interfaces to third-party libraries, because they kind of all have names as if they're the names of projects rather than the names of like files. So let's take a quick look at Mojol. Mojol, a drop-in OpenAL implementation. Let's just see if we can find a Mojol on the internet. Mojo.al. Yeah. So this appears like the lib thing. The lib directory contains like third-party stuff. So we'll ignore it for now. And here we are back in source. And what do we want? I guess let's look at GUI engine and graphics. I guess is the entry point. And physics and race. Maybe tracks. And this might be all that, and carts, I guess. And items. All right, this may be all that we look at today. All right. Okay, so GUI engine, we have things like, here's the engine header and CPP file. An emoji keyboard. Okay, so I guess you can send emojis. Abstract state manager. We'll look at the header. Abstract top-level container. Maybe first we'll look at the header and dialog queue, an event handler, layout manager, message queue, screen, skin, and widget. We'll just look at a few of these files that I opened. Okay, so here's engine.hpp. And how big is it? Not too big. And namespace is GUI engine. We've got some classes that seem reasonable. Screen, widget, skin, abstract, state manager. And we get a comment, which is good. It contains all GUI engine related classes and functions. See reference GUI overview for more information. All right. So get focus for player, focus nothing for player, is focus for player, and then some private stuff like fonts, outlines, tiny fonts, whatever Erlicht device is. Let's look up Erlicht. Erlicht, a 3D computer graphics engine. Okay. An open source game engine written in C++. All right. And what else? We've got a function to deallocate whatever this is, the GUI engine. And some font stuff, the GUI end, I guess an environment, the Erlicht GUI environment object, abstract state manager, get latest DT. The value returned by this function is only valid when invoked from GUI engine : render. All right. I don't know what DT is, but it's something. Show message update. Add loading at a time. Okay. All right. Seems like it might be the case that Erlicht, the game engine Erlicht, is doing most of the game, the heavy lifting for the underlying game engine. All right. So here's engine.cpp. So I guess the implementation of what we just looked at. And it's got a comment giving us how things are, declared. This section describes the widgets you can use in SDKs, SDK being SuperTuxKart, SDK's GUI XML files. All right, so I guess things are stored in XML, and this is a CPP file, but most of it's comments so far. Let's see, comments are good. There's, I guess, 600 lines of them, 665. And then we import some stuff. Let's see what we import. So GUI engine stuff, modes like demo world, cutscene world, some fonts, font stuff, challenges. All right. And then like kind of standard C++ stuff, algorithm, IO stream, assertions, and mutexes. And so here's the GUI engine implementation stuff. And it looks mostly totally reasonable and like you would expect. Okay. Is this the think this is the main thing in here, or the only thing in here. Okay, cool. All right, here's Abstract State Manager. All right, we've got atomic, vector, string, engine. And we're in the GUI engine namespace build. We have a class widget, class screen, and a game state enum, which is menu, game, in-game menu, or current. I don't know what current means. I think the current state is always current. Menu, I guess means we're in a menu. Game means we're playing a game. And in-game menu is maybe we're in the game, but we've brought up some sort of like a heads-up display or menu or something. And then the abstract state manager, guessing from its name, will presumably be some sort of state machine. And these are the states that it's going to manage. And we have this function push menu and a stack. This stack will contain menu names, for example, main.stk.gui and or race with screen instance pointer. So it's a vector of a pair with a string and a screen star pointed to a screen. And we have this function push menu, which takes a screen star. And we can set game state, leak check. Maybe this is for memory leaks. What can we do? We can replace topmost screen. We can pop the menu, reset and go to screen, reset and set stack. All right. The reset and go to screen clears the menu stack and starts afresh with a new stack containing only the given screen. All right. Replace topmost screen replaces the menu at the top of the screen stack, i.e., that is, it pops the topmost screen and adds this one instead, but without displaying the second topmost menu of the stack in between. All right, hard reset and go to screen, which has an implementation, even though I think we're in the header. Oh, is it a template? It's a template. Okay. This looks like a callback for when the stack is emptied, on stack empty, on game state change. Okay, so we have some callbacks. But if escape is pressed, if the state changed, if the stack is emptied, or if the topmost screen changed. And okay. And we can get the game menu stack size. All right. Here's the abstract top level container.http. We looked at the state machine. So here's the top level container. And we have a pointer vector with a widget and hold. I don't know what hold is, and I'm not really sure what a pointer vector is. Seems like it would be a pointer to a vector or a vector of pointers. All right, and we've got a pointer to a widget. Abstract top-level container is generally able to determine its first widget just fine. But in highly complex screens, for example, multiplayer card selection, we can help it by providing the first widget manually. Okay? And we've got the last widget, too. And these, I guess, are just optimizations when there's a lot of widgets. You can just get the first and last one, I suppose. And we've got this function add widget recursively, which takes a pointer vector of widgets, I guess a reference to a pointer vector, and a widget star, which is null by default. And the widget star is the parent. All right. And we can get objects by name, and there's some template stuff. This function searches and returns a widget by name, passed as specified type, if that widget is found and the type is correct. Cool. All right. Here's dialog queue. So what are we gonna, presumably we're gonna push strings onto a queue, and that's gonna show up in the dialog. I don't know if they're gonna just empty the queue as quickly as possible or what's gonna go on, but yeah, so we have a standard queue. Oh, this is dialogues maybe in the sense of a dialogue window rather than like in-game dialogue. Okay, so we've got a standard queue of modal dialogues and a closer, modal dialog star m closer, and a dialog queue. And we can get, deallocate, and push dialog and update. All right. Okay, message queue. And we're going to include Q in vector. The various message type which can be shown, which might use a different look. This type is used to sort messages. So it is important that messages that need to be shown as early as possible will be listed last. That is, have the highest priority. So this is a priority queue. We have message type. I don't know what MT is, but the types are essentially friend, achievement, a message type, I guess. Friend, achievement, generic, error, or progress. So friend, I don't know, but maybe achievement is if you get an achievement. Generic is presumably a generic message you might be able to extend for other things. Error message, and like a progress indicator. And what can you do with the queue? You can add static. How's this different? So empty is the first thing. These are both const. And for string W and message. Okay. Show progress bar, which takes a progress and a string message. Update position, update, discard static, reset global variables. All right, so that's the message queue. The header, at least. All right, so here we are in the graphics, source/graphics. What do we have? We have 2D utils, C batching mesh. Something about meshes and batching. I don't know if C is like, I don't know if this is a particular kind of mesh that's known in the gaming world. We also have B3D mesh loader. Is this maybe Blender? B3D mesh loader. No, I don't think so. What is B3D? I'm not sure what B is supposed to stand for. SB3D chunk. B3D is, let's see if B3D is a thing like this. Blitz Basic, maybe? A programming language. It's a game creation system. Is it like a 3D thing? Blitz 3D. So maybe this is Blitz 3D stuff. I guess there's like they have a mesh format that you can import. What else? BTCart, let's look at. Oh wait, no, we're in physics. Whoa now. Actually, let's do physics first. Okay, so we're gonna look at BTCart, raycast. Actually, the raycast should probably be. Let's look at the implementation. I think that's where the fun will be. Debug stuff. Physical object. It's a pretty broad class. I guess I'll look at the physics and physical object CPP files. Cart motion state header. I'll look at that. Dynamics world. Triangle mesh. I think for the triangle mesh, I really just want the header and a user pointer. I guess we'll look at user pointer too. What harm can it do? Cool. All right, here we are in BTCart raycast. This should be raycasting, one would guess. We're including triangle mesh. And we've got this function to cast rays. So BT raycaster cast ray is going to take a BT vector for reference to a const reference. It's going to take two of them, from and to, and a BT vehicle raycaster result. And it's going to return, and it's a void star. So since this is called result, I'm going to guess it's an out. Maybe an out parameter. And we have, I guess, classes defined in here. Closest with normal, get triangle index. And, all right. And then we've got the dynamics world thing, ray test, from to ray callback. If ray callback has hit, we do some stuff. And that's basically it. So let's take a closer look at this. Now that we understand the form. Hi, my audio is crackling. Oh no. Let me take a listen here. Let me try this. I can monitor. Yeah, there is correctly. Thanks, Imuzan. Let me see what I can do. Let me turn off camera and audio for a second. So I think people should be able to hear me again, and hopefully they could not hear when I was testing. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the stream and try to debug this offline, and then come back in hopefully about 5 minutes. But I have no idea what's going on. I've changed. I've played around with the audio to set things up for the more complicated audio situation for when I'm streaming later today. But I restored all the settings that I had before. Hey, so I'm guessing I'm guessing something in Linux has gotten into a bad state. I might have to do something like reboot. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream, and then I'll be back in a couple of minutes, hopefully with it fixed.